Happy Friday, lover cheeses. It is time to get you a go-go juice. And it's time for another episode of New Job, Who Dis? Welcome back. Oh, hello everyone. Lover cheeses and lover squeezes, and my gorgeous 10 listeners. You know who you are. Welcome back to another episode of New Job Who Dis with your gorgeous and lovely host, Halston Body present. I've been very busy. I am sorry I have not been buzzing online with telling you about new episodes of New Job Who Dis or this episode. It's been a very busy week. I was just part of the first United Wrestling Network meets the NWA Primetime Live on pay-per-view on Fight TV, guiding the gorgeous and Queen of Hollywood. That would be Miss Heather Monroe. Please, if you can, seek it out. It is on the Fight TV app. You just need to look up the United Wrestling Network and find the Prime Time Live episodes and subscribe. Please do, because there is more amazing shows and wrestling from that program to come, as well as on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, all over the Western, Southwest, everywhere across, including Memphis. And we see you in Florida. It's growing. It's everywhere. Check it out online. CW30 Wrestling on YouTube. It is also available on the Fight TV app. And check your local listings. Otherwise, go to the United Wrestling Network.com, I believe is the URL for that. And find where you can watch, because darling, yours truly has been very busy lately, but that's a good thing. Better busy than bored. What a philosophy to have, and that is what we are going to get into. Into this episode, we are in Comedy Land Part 2. Yes, on Monday, we just started scratching the surface. For those who have just joined us for the first time, welcome, of course. For those who are my 10 listeners, welcome back, as I said before. So thank you for listening. Catch you up really quickly. I'm living in Los Angeles, working for the phone company, living a very Midwestern mentality as far as work and my brainwave is going. But how do we crack through that? Why am I in Tinseltown? Why am I in Hollyweird, of all places, as this cast off from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, just living this life out in Los Angeles? Well, here's where it turns the corner, kids. And we started that on Monday with getting into comedy classes with a comedian by the name of Adam Barnhart. In fact, for those who are watching here on YouTube, hint, hint, lovely listeners on the podcast, tune into the YouTube channel under Halston Body, and you will see what I'm showing. I found in my memory box the Adam Barnhart's Hack Basic Joke Writing pamphlets that I got. And it's, basically, again, blowing my mind. Wisconsin boy, entertainment in California and Hollywood is on television. And here I am. Holy smokes. I get to learn how to do stand-up comedy? What? I'm just a guy that works at the phone company. I'm some schlub from the Midwest who has no business being out here, just wandering the desert in the valley of LA, trying to sort out why he's here. But the entertainment bug is absolutely in me. Coming from that DJ gig, doing some performances for Pride and charity events in Milwaukee in the gay bar district. And here I am, still feeling this itch to entertain, to perform in some way. And the light landed in my lap with a flyer to a class at the Gay and Lesbian Center here, the LGBTQ Center in Los Angeles, down near Hollywood. And I signed up for a remedial adult course on stand-up comedy, with the reward being a gig at the Comedy Store, the famous Los Angeles, the Comedy Store in Hollywood, very famous stand-up comedy place to perform, owned by Mitzi Shore, mother of Paulie, and it's esteemed. So I'm in this class, and it's fantastic. I mean, I didn't really have a plan. I just was like, you know what? Let's do this in the adventurous spirit that is within me, within my body and my soul. I am a curious soul. Somebody hands me a flyer to take a stand-up comedy course for $75, I believe. I think that's what I paid for it. I paid maybe $75 and got a gig at the Comedy Store. Now, there was a couple bumps in the road before that because it wasn't immediate, but here I am in this class, and it's a lot of actors, a lot of young actors and actresses, just there to kind of round out their acting resume with some comedy. You could tell immediately some of them, most of them, were not in it to win it. However, early on, right away, I felt this spark within me to feel like, after seeing these actors and actresses not take this class as seriously, I guess, because again, they were just there to get those credits or slap it on their resume to say they've done it, but they weren't really there to become stand-up comics. You could tell they were just actors trying to act, and I'm there trying to tell jokes. And the other thing that you have to understand going forward is that I was having a mild identity crisis, but it wasn't really fleshed out yet. It hadn't been exposed. The wound and the problem hadn't shown up yet. It was just beginning for myself. And yeah, we're going to talk about me in a little deeper psychological sense as far as my job and my career brain is going. I'm having a little identity issue. And it was sparked by taking this stand-up comedy course. As you can see, I'm a thick, bearded gentleman. Oh, yes. And physically, if you saw me in a lineup of LGBTQ people, you could easily, immediately throw me in a sandbox of the bear community. Yes, I absolutely latched onto and got into and melded with the bears. Look it up on the internet. I don't have time to explain it, but physically, it's this, right? Without all of the prestige. However, that's what got me tripped up, and that's what started the identity problem for myself. Is because immediately my teacher just called me out and said, "You're a bear. So be a bear comic." And I was like, okay. I shuffled my feet so hard internally, and I kind of accepted it. But the biggest problem, right out of the gate, trying to figure out how I'm going to be as a stand-up comic before I've even written jokes, mind you. I'm not even writing at this point. I'm not sitting there actively trying to write comedy or play observer or whatever. I'm literally just in coursework where I'm learning phrases, and you can hear the papers rustling here. I'll give away some tips and tricks. This will be like that Fox show where the magician gave away magic tricks. Here's some things that you need to know about stand-up comedy. The power of reversal. Basic setup punch works on the element of surprise. You lead the crowd to think one thing, then wapow, you hit them with another. Reversal can be used in many ways. Wordplay, emotional switches, political standpoint. Let's have a look at some examples. So there's all these things these ways to write jokes and how to set up punches and how to make stand-up comedy happen. It's not just getting up on stage and telling your life story or going through therapy or, telling knock-knock jokes. Yes, those do exist, but there's a craft that I was just starting to learn. Just starting. Baby. 2 months, 3 months. We're not talking years yet. We're not even in year one of comedy. Oh no. We are strictly just learning and shaking off whatever barnacles of fright to get up on stage again after doing the Pride show in Milwaukee. I mean, I wasn't like loose and ready to get up on stage. Didn't have a lot of fear. I wasn't like terrified. I was just more worried about being funny, making sure I was doing the job that I should be doing, which is making the audience laugh. So yeah, we were in this class. I mean, there's all sorts of little paperwork and things. It was a great reminder. And what was great is that the encouragement I got, even though I was painted by a instructor who was, we're at the LGBTQ center and it's an identity game, painted as this bear. And the other problem with that was I got, stuck because I didn't want to be a bear comic. So I was trying to just write simple jokes about day-to-day life, observations, just trying to get my feet wet with the identity comic. How do I identify as a comic? What kind of comic are you? Right? The layers just start peeling off once you start doing the lessons of stand-up comedy. You start figuring out, am I a ba-dum-bum kind of guy where I have a really groaner punchline at the end of whatever I'm telling? Am I a storyteller? Am I going to weave tales and then at the end of it I finally wrap it up with something amazing? Like what? Am I just a, everyday guy kind of comic? Am I a straight up, LGBTQ? We are absolutely a gay comic. We're telling nothing but gay jokes and we're playing for gay audiences only. The world was mine. In my head, as a universal thinker, I guess that's the way to describe it. I wanted to play to all audiences because I didn't feel like I needed to specify. I didn't feel like I wanted to leave people out of my humor. I didn't have a voice that was directed towards an audience yet. Again, baby steps. We're just learning how to tell a joke. We're just learning how to stand properly on stage without nervously shuffling your feet or playing with the microphone cord or, making sure you know where the mic is, make sure you know how to play with it. Like all these things. A lot of people, there's so many crutches. So many crutches. I did them myself when I started to do it in the class and eventually on stage. Just play with the mic stand. It's a nervous thing that you don't even realize you're doing. Got to learn how to connect. Got to learn how to look at that audience. Got to learn how to make eye contact. It's all part of it. It's all part of it. It's not just go get up on stage and try to be funny. Haha, I'm funny. I got things to say. I'm funny. You ever take a poop? Huh? Like that's not. It was weird. It was a weird thing. Like again, who knew? I didn't. Apparently, being from non-entertainment land, I had no clue that this was part of it. Now, of course, I learned how to become a DJ, so it wasn't like shock. What? I'm learning stand-up. I mean, you had to learn how to be a DJ. And that took a special school. So I was just more amazed the fact that I was learning it. I think while I was in it, I was more shocked and amazed, like wide-eyed, like, wow, I'm learning stand-up comedy. What? Who does this? And that was the start of that, too. I was very like, who does this? I would have never been able to do this in Wisconsin or Milwaukee. What? Very exciting times for this under 30-year-old in the early 2000s, starting to, again, exploring the valleys and the highs and the lows of Los Angeles, Hollywood, California, again, the valley, Sherman Oaks. We're here. What are we doing? We're starting to figure it out. Another thing that influenced what was going on around me and probably infected the bug into me a little bit, and this is a get to know you moment thing about me, I don't fear celebrity. Meaning, if I see a celebrity, I'm not afraid of them. I don't wig out and be, oh my God. There's a celebrity. I can't breathe. Who's that? Even on the lowest level, even if a D-list, E-list, F-list celebrity, I'm not afraid. And when the counterpart is, I'm not bold. I'm not like, hey, celebrity, who are you? Like, I don't get crazy with them. But for some reason, when I back up a little bit, when I first moved to LA, I was living with that guy, Dennis. He was in the autograph business. He was out there. He had guys that would go out in Hollywood on a nightly basis with a car and a trunk full of 8x10s and things to get signed. And that dude, Dennis, would request things. People would, hey, I want an 8x10 of so-and-so. Can you find it? Hopefully you can get them in Hollywood. Hopefully you can go to an awards show or some restaurant or catch them somewhere where the hot spots are in LA to get those autographs signed. And of course, me being from Wisconsin, I was very starstruck. I was starstruck in a way of like, oh my gosh, that's right. Celebrities live out here. Oh, how fascinating. And I wasn't necessarily blown up by the fact that people knew celebrities. It was just more fascinating to me that I was living in a city where people just knew celebrities and acted like they were, and I shouldn't even acted, they were just like they were neighbors. I mean, Dennis lived a block away from a guy who I had already seen in commercials, locally and nationwide. So it wasn't like a big shock, but it was just something to absorb, like, wow. Celebrities are humans too. And that's why I don't fear celebrities. They're just humans. Oh, sure. Money, fame, power, success. Absolutely. Looks, prestige, bodyguards, all the things that come with being a celebrity, whatever level, again. But I don't have any sort of fright about approaching them. I read the room, make sure it's okay to approach them, and I treat them like a human being. Hi, how are you? Oh, God. Hey, I could go on for an hour and talk about how I love you and these things, but I just want to thank you for being an awesome actor or whatever. And they love that. I learned this trick by going to autograph shows. Yeah, out here in Los Angeles and in Burbank especially, they used to, and I think it still runs actually. I mean, obviously not right now, but for 20 years, there was a thing called the Hollywood Show. And when I first got here, I was mesmerized because here's what it was. You could pay, I think it was $20 at the door, $25 at the door, maybe. Walk in the door, and it is a hotel convention hall, two of those like rooms that you can rent, lined with tables, lined with all your favorite actors and actresses of yesteryear. And I say that in air quotes because some actresses and actors were still working, but it was like the classic television and movie kind of celebrities where it's like, oh, here are the actresses and actors that are still left from Dark Shadows. They'll be here this show. Hey, we're going to have a Dynasty reunion, get as many Dynasty actors back together to sign things. Like, they would always have these like little groupings, and then they'd have the regulars. There would always be the people that were at every show because they had nothing to do on a Saturday and Sunday. But it was a treasure trove of collecting autographs and photographs for me because it was easy pickings. It was so easy to pick up. I mean, you just pick up the list and go, oh, who do I want to meet? I want to meet so-and-so. I want to meet, Rip Taylor. I want to meet, Don Adams or whoever was on the list. And it was very exciting. It was just, again, it was like, here's a grocery list of 100 celebrities that you get to choose from. And yes, you had to pay per autograph or per photo, depending on the celebrity, but at the end of the day, it was so much fun. I got to meet everybody. Roddy from Price is Right. Roddy Piper, professional wrestler. I have a book that I found of all of my autographs, and I had met some amazing people. Aaron Moran from Happy Days. I met Cindy Williams from Happy Days, or Laverne and Shirley. I met Gary Busey. I met some people before they died. There's Rose Marie from the Dick Van Dyke Show. There's so many celebrities I met, and so many interesting like conversation moments or what have you. And it was fun. It was fun. That was the best part. It was just fun. No harm, no fault, no weird celebrities like being jerks or whatever. I think there was one. It was Rip Taylor. But other than that, everybody was cool. Everybody was super nice. It was great to meet them and wax nostalgic of what I knew of their, of their art or whatever I enjoyed of what they did. And it was great. So that kind of implanted a little bit more of a bug. I used to go out with these autograph guys too. I went out with this one guy. I used to go out late at night and just stand in front or around this restaurant in Beverly Hills called Mr. Chow and hope that we'd meet somebody coming out of the restaurant. And boy, did we ever. Oh, what a weird hotspot that was. I mean, these are the things that again, coming from Wisconsin, how would I ever know these things? But it was a wild adventure. Hey, you want to go out late at night at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night and hang out and hope to meet some cool celebrities outside of a restaurant and get autographs? Yeah. Yes, I do, please. And I did. I think I will say this, my top grab as far as a meet, a photo, and an autograph in public, just coming out of Mr. Chow's, was George Clooney. Oh, what a time to be alive. He was super nice too. And it was great because I wasn't there to try to collect autographs for money. I was just there to collect autographs because I was starstruck. Oh, who are these cool celebrities? What? And they could pick up on it. Celebrities kind of knew. Because when you're standing in front of a celebrity with 7 or 8 8x10s trying to get them all signed in a row, celebrities are onto your game. But if you're just this schlub who's like, hello, Mr. Clooney, my grandma loves you and I loved you on ER. And he's like, oh, there's a real fan that's just like there to be cool. I love that guy. Like, wow, it was crazy. I mean, I have I'm sitting right in front of it. I'll grab it. Sorry, folks, on the audio. I've somehow had a Cosmopolitan signed by Jennifer Love Hewitt from the year 2000. It's sitting right in front of me. What is happening, right? This wild adventure in California. I'm taking comedy lessons. I'm going to debut at some point at the Comedy Store. What is that? It's not even 2004. I'm not even 30 yet. What is going on in my life? It's starting to happen. I told you on Monday, this is where it starts to all turn into like the wildest roller coaster of the next 20 years of my life. Bam. So we get through the class. I get encouragement to go find out open mic nights. Where do I find open mic nights? That, for those who need to know, that is where you go to a coffee house or a comedy place. They have open mic nights at actual comedy places like the Improv and Comedy Store and things like that. But those are the big fish. We want to start with the small fish, the coffee houses, the clubs, the bars, wherever the spaces, mini black box theaters, things like that. Where can I get my stuff in, man? Sounds familiar, wrestlers? Any wrestlers listening? Let me get a workout match in. Let me get something. Let me get my moves in. Let me do my practice stuff. That was the goal. And open mic nights, realistically, were trained to us to be a place where you throw ideas up on the wall to see if they stick. Try the new jokes. Right? You're not getting a lot of time anyway, so you might as well just try a couple new things to see if they work. And if they work, you'll fold them into your act. You got to keep trying them. You don't just try them once and then shoot them down. You got to, it's why they're called workout rooms and why they're called open mics, because they're not expecting it all to be like, this is top dollar entertainment. We are paying for HBO special level comics to do this open mic. And that's why it's always so funny when established comedians show up at open mic nights and blow the roof off, because everyone's like, oh my gosh, this person that we've seen on HBO or Comedy Central is here. It's so exciting. But then they're also trying out new stuff. Don't be fooled by that comedy game. So I get the, I'm not trying to become a comedian. I'm in the same vein that I took magic lessons at the Magic Castle, and I wasn't trying to become a professional magician. I just wanted to learn some things and figure it out and be like, wow, this is kind of fun and cool. Magic. I sort of had the same vibe about this, but I also was kind of just keeping it free and open because I never knew where the road was going to take me. Adam encouraged us to get open mics, and I found my first gig at, it's no longer there, but it is on the corner of, it was on the corner of Crescent Heights and Sunset in Hollywood. It was a bar called the Coconut Teaser. Teaser. Or the other way around. Doesn't matter. It was like Coconut Teaser. Very famous rock club on the Sunset Strip. It was right on the corner. But my first gig, I only had one friend, but the guy I was dating, and we weren't really dating, but we were still friends, and it was just this, it was kind of trailing off, but he was still around, and we were there, and he showed up, and it was a late night gig in the basement of the Coconut Teaser. I was very nervous. I had a few jokes prepared. It was great. You had to sign up with the DJ, and then you had to sit around and wait to be called up. Wait till your turn. It's my first time doing this. I'm sweating bullets. I don't even know if I had a wardrobe that was even worthy of doing stand-up comedy at that point. In fact, most of my career, I don't know if I made myself a wardrobe that was worthy of my identity or whatever I was doing on stage. But either way, I was there. I was going to stick it out. I had to. I mean, why did I waste my, whatever night it was, I think it was a Thursday night. Why am I sitting in the basement of the Coconut Teaser on a Tuesday or Thursday night? I can't remember. I think it was a Tuesday or Thursday. It might even been a Monday. That's why they did open mic nights, because it was like, oh, it's a slow night. Let's get as many people possibly in the bar to watch some comedy and maybe make some bucks on some drinks. Who knows? But yeah, did my first gig. And sure enough, I had to wait all of the way until like 1:30 in the morning. On a Tuesday night, there were like 4 people left in the place. It was amazing. Now, mind you, the cool part was that I only had 4 people to perform for. So anything went. It didn't matter at that point. I do remember the cool part is before the actual stand-up comedy and open mic night, they had a band playing. They had a couple bands playing. And I remember to this day, there was a very cool band called Scared of Girls that was a hot pop trio. They just played these cool jams. And man, I'd have to look them up. I doubt highly that they are still around after 20 years. But it was a wild experience. Once again, here I am in LA, at a club in LA. Woo! I'm watching live bands and I'm about to perform. The person that was before me presented himself in person and on the microphone as homeless. Oh yeah, no, he stunk up the room, literally and figuratively. It was very nice. It was wild, but I mean, he just screamed obscenities into the microphone for 3 minutes and then got the light. Oh yeah, get the light. Yeah, that's the light. If you get that light, the flashlight in the back of the room, where you get there's an actual light up there that somebody turns on with a switch. It's called the lights. You get the lights. Oh yeah, we had to learn about that. That was another thing. Get the light. What an anxiety-ridden moment that is. You're in the middle of your set and suddenly the light comes on. Where was I? I got a minute left. Choke it down. Tell the last joke. Get off that stage. All part of the lessons. And then, so I do a couple of these gigs, right? I'm doing these open mic night gigs, right? Trying to find the work. And I do. So we get the Comedy Store, and I'm going to show another visual aid. Sorry, podcast listeners. But yeah, I got this cool, I found this in my memory box again. Comedy Central, here it is. Or I'm sorry, Comedy Revival. What am I saying? I'm foreshadowing. Comedy Revival, October 14th. 2001. This is my comedy beginnings, where I performed for the first time at the Comedy Store. And Adam made this cute little menu, and I was on here, and my description under the appetizers was organically grown spears of antic whimsy on a bed of red cabbage. Either way, yeah. This was as cool of a gig as this was, and I had to try and get as many people to show up for it. Oh my God, I'm doing stand-up comedy in Hollywood at the Comedy Store. Great. Here's something that I learned early on in my stand-up comedy career that I immediately hated. I hated it because I somehow just did the math and thought about it and wondered where the trickle down went or goes, because it didn't make sense to me. Here's what didn't make sense. You get people in the door, they have to pay a cover to your comedy club. Fair. $10, $5, I don't even know. Let's just call it 10 for safety's sake. And you get a $10 cover, and then it's a 2-drink minimum. But it's not two $4 bottles of water. It's not two $2 bottles of water. It's like you have to buy drinks. And even if they're non-alcoholic, they're like $10 to $15. So I'm asking everybody to show up to a gig that I'm going to perform for under 10 minutes at and have them spend $50 on getting in the door and drinks and tip. Each, mind you, each 2-drink minimum. And they enforced it. I was like, I got it and I respect it on a business draw and we've got to make money. I get it. However, I didn't get to see a dime of that. What if my friend bought 4 drinks? Do I get a cut of that? Do you pull the till at the end of the night and go, wow, we made a great number on the show. Here's your cut, kid. Not happening. So I immediately hated it. I was like, this is an aspect of stand-up comedy I don't like. Because remember, I'm coming from a poor kid mentality. I wouldn't ask my friends to spend $50 on me to watch me for 10 minutes. What? It just blew my mind. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not ready for that. I don't think I need to perform for that type of crowd yet. That seems a little echelon. There's a little level that's like, wow, that's a pricey night. And it makes you step up your game, obviously, because if you're going to be that type of comic where you're expecting a $50 draw, I hope I get a payday out of that, number one. And number two, obviously, I'm going to get more than 6 minutes to crap out my whatever jokes I've just wrote on stage. I'm not established yet. But that's what the experience was. It was just meant to be this experience to get your feet wet at the Comedy Store. Well, I didn't just let it end there, of course. I got hooked up through the gay comics because, again, Adam was a gay comic or a comic who happened to be gay. I was, connected with other people at the LGBTQ Center who were also budding gay comics. And then I asked Adam, of course, resourced. Where can I perform? Where can I go? That's just not straight club comedy. I don't know what to tell yet, but I know I'm at least gay at this point, right? I know there's at least an identity. I guess I'm a bear. I mean, my beard is nowhere near what it is right now. It's probably a chin strap beard and a mustache that didn't connect. But that was my identity at the time, ? I guess. Sure, that's who I was hanging out with. But I didn't know how to write bear comedy, much less gay comedy. Obviously I had a voice of being comfortable with who I was, but I didn't really have a lot of humor that required it to be pointed at the gay or the lesbian or I didn't have any sort of like gay jokes to tell. I also didn't have, the strongest coming out story that was going to be funny. I felt like it was my parents and my brother and everybody in my family was like, yeah, we knew, whatever. Yeah, sounds great. You're our son. We love you. You're our family member. We love you. No big deal. So I didn't have some wild, crazy story to tell about my coming out or some hilarious Thanksgiving outing. I had a couple things to talk about with regards to that, but it wasn't, I was struggling with trying to come up with humor that was more Midwest based. Because I was, again, stranger in a strange land. I'm this Midwestern guy out in Hollywood. How am I reacting? That was part of my viewpoints that I had to try to come across with. But I didn't have a strong identity comedy yet. It was just loose from the hip, just trying to tell jokes about observations in daily life, work, the Midwest, how I observe celebrities, understanding and learning Spanish for the first time by living in Los Angeles, working for the phone company. I mean, it was just present day. I hadn't even tapped into like family memories or, I got to tell this story once about this one time that I did this thing and my dad, and nothing. I was just trying to draw on what I could possibly muster up with observation and work with what I had right then and there. And so I start sniffing out places to work, finding the open mics and the coffee houses. And I stumble across, how weird is this? I stumble across, and I think it was through the connection of Adam, this comedy show, this weekly comedy show in North Hollywood, in the Valley, of all places, at this place called the Ha Ha Cafe. This lesbian comic by the name of Elena Davis. Yes, Elena Davis. She was running it, and she was trying to book an LGBTQ show. I mean, I think she just called it Gay and Lesbian Show. It was the Gay and Lesbian Comedy Show in North Hollywood at the Ha Ha Cafe. Great. Hi, Elena. I'm a new comic. I learned through Adam Harder. Oh, I know Adam. Great. Hey, I don't know how to get a gig. This is my first time. How do I do this? Here's how to do it. You just ask. And she said, sure. And I did my gig. And then I ended up doing another gig. And I met some people there. And I met this wonderful comic that we will talk about by the name of Faith Choice. She was great. I started finding a little bit of a community of non-bear comedians in the LGBTQ world. And it was great. So I was starting to do these gigs. Now, the cool part about this was I worked in North Hollywood. I could walk from the phone company building to the cafe. How convenient is that? So if I got a gig, I can go home. It's right there. I know exactly where I'm at. It's in the Valley. Great. Keep in mind, perspective, this is pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter, pre-Instagram, pre-social media as we know it. This is the era of LiveJournal and MySpace and mailing lists and websites. Get your own website. That was the gig. That was how you had to build your own brand and your site. And branding wasn't even really a personal brand, wasn't even a phrase back then. But it was all about trying to get your name out there. You had to build a MySpace page. You had to get, as many contacts and connections as you could. That was the place you promoted things. Flyers, beat the drum, ask your friends, all those things. So I started to get gigs because I started to pursue gigs. I was trying to work this material out. And if you ask me right now what all that material was, I couldn't remember. I know some jokes that I told. I remember some things that I, spit out on stage and talked about. But it was 20 years ago, and it ended, spoiler alert, it ended, 9 years after. So, yeah, I couldn't tell you what my first gig jokes were. I couldn't tell you what my second gig jokes were. It all was just being hammered out as we were doing it. Soon enough, after doing enough regular gigs and helping out Elena with pushing the show in whatever way, shape, and form I could, because that was something I just picked up on is, hey, you got to bang the drum. You got to start pushing the show and getting people there because I saw money involved. There was, you had to get enough people and you had to bring people to be on the show. So I was trying to get work people to show up. I was trying to get as many gay bear friends to show up as I possibly could. And boy, you learn in LA how flaky your acquaintances, friends, and anybody you know is. But in fairness, How often can you ask a friend to keep showing up to an expensive or paying comedy show on a weekly basis to see the same comedy that you're trying to work out? It's not like every gig was a whole new set. It's not like every gig had all new jokes for 8 to 10 minutes or whatever 7 minutes you got or whatever. So I could completely understand why my friends weren't coming to gigs on a regular basis because, again, it was expensive. That show was on a Thursday night as well, so it's a school night. Not really willing to spend that type of money on a school night. And the Ha Ha Cafe, by the way, for being in the Valley and for being a Thursday night, was almost as expensive, if not, don't quote me, it could be as more expensive than the Comedy Store was. And I was shocked. I'm like, but I figured out that's the gig. How do comedy stores and how do comedy clubs that are only comedy clubs, they're not just bars that happen to have comedy, they're designed to be performance places for comedy. That's how they pay their rent. It's by the upcharge. They get you in the door and then they charge you $12 to $15 a drink, or your simple burger with fries is $15 because they're bilking you. They're bilking you for that space. And again, unless you're a top tier comic or a regular road comic or one of the regulars that everybody knows, or you're one of those, I'm on Stern or I'm on the morning shows, and the gig comic who's getting a paycheck and has an agent and a booking guy and all these things. I'm just some hack. I'm just some guy who's figuring it out and trying to do his comedy on stage. Great. Plenty of gigs start happening on the in the out for laughs thing. I started also stretching the gigs with comedy or coffee houses and whatnot. There was a cool time that I was doing, again, trying to do the circuit, trying to get as many gigs in LA and Hollywood as possible and trying to make the connections. And it started happening because I was not your atypical gay comic. Oh, yeah, you get a gay comedy show together. And it's a lot of coming out stories. It's a lot of being gay on stage. A lot of gay. Lots of it. Gay stories. The on-the-nose gay comedy that and I say that with love because there's some of it I actually love. Like there's some comics that I just, great gay comedy. But a lot of it was not me. Not because I wasn't comfortable with my sexuality. I just didn't feel like I had a direct line of identity. I wasn't a bear comic. Everybody kept calling me that because I was the chubby guy with a beard. And yes, I was absolutely knee deep with hanging out with the bear crowd in the community. But I didn't have bear jokes. I mean, half the time, if I even brought that up on a stage, I would have to explain it because 20 years ago, it wasn't as prevalent and obvious to everybody. It wasn't a joke on Saturday Night Live or The Simpsons, or pop culture did not have a grasp entirely on the gay bear culture. So it wasn't just easy to just walk up on stage and be like, oh, I'm a bear. And everyone's like, yes, we love it. And we know. Like, they're like, huh? I had no idea. So I threw that out the window because I didn't feel like I wanted to get up on stage to give everybody a lecture or a TED talk about my sexuality or what I was or how I was thrown into a bear sandbox because of my physical look. I had hair back then, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I had hair. And again, I had some weird, weak beard that it was like not even fully grown in yet. I was a late bloomer on the facial hair, but I had some sort of something, a goatee. I had something. I know I had a goatee for quite a while, trailing off those 90s goatees. Until, of course, you read a fashion magazine like, goatees are out. Okay, I'm not wearing that anymore. So yeah, I'm just kind of floating out there in limbo comedy land. Now, mind you, the positive point is that I'm writing jokes. I'm writing stuff out. I'm hammering the material. I'm fortunate to be part of this Out for Laughs gig that gave me a weekly Thursday night gig. Elena eventually asked me to help sponsor it, throw some money in the bucket to help pay for the show, because she had to pay the bar, or she had to pay the club to rent the space, minus who didn't show up. So I believe it was like $250 for a Thursday night. And then if 6 people showed up, you had, in whatever you took at the, so you had to take $250 in at the door at, I think it was like, I want to say $8 a pop. Because I don't think we did a clean 10. We didn't have a powerhouse of a comedy lineup enough yet to earn $10. Maybe we did. Either way, it wasn't easy to get a $250 pull on that night. And a lot of times we were out money. She asked me to co-sponsor. I was working a great union job and I had good money. Post-bankruptcy, of course. Oh yeah, I can pay cash. I basically, for a good solid 6 to 9 months, at least, I would say 9 months for sure, I got weekly workout time doing comedy on the stage of the Ha, thanks to this show. It's called Out for Laughs. I know I have a flyer somewhere in my memory box of it. It was a great time. I fell into a river of gold because I got so many opportunities to just get up on stage and throw it on the wall and see if it sticks. And it did for a while. Things started sticking. Wow, fun. But then I started to merge into the possibility of performing for Bear events. As you heard in the last episode, I went to a Bear event in San Francisco. And a couple years prior, I went to one in Chicago as well. And when I say Bear event, I mean, imagine a whole hotel filled with gay bears, and they're all there to party and fill in the blanks. The performances and the entertainment at these events, I thought, was horrible. It was they got some cheap laughs with very sexually driven jokes. It was that was the audience. I mean, listen, again, look it up, people. That's the audience, is the gay bears. They're very sexually driven. It's a thirst driven and it's there. It's very present, very omnipresent in that community. I mean, I guess you could argue somewhere that it's also in the gay community or the lesbian. I mean, however you want to paint it, from my observation eyes and from being within that community, very hypersexual. So these comedians that performed at these Bear events that I witnessed, they weren't very clever or funny. They just threw very easy sexually driven jokes on the wall. And because that was the audience they were playing for, it sort of worked. Some of it didn't, because it was a lot of really bad pandering and just too on the nose and groanalicious. And I thought, man, I could do that. I could be smarter than that guy or that girl. It was actually both a guy and a girl comedian that I was like, if that's stand-up comedy to this crowd, I can do better than that. Come on, I'm smarter than the average bear. Ha ha! Puns! But yes, that was intentional. So you can, so I'm starting doing this LGBTQ comedy show. And, even then, I just want to say, for the community, the LGBTQIA plus community that we can easily say now, back then, I was just working a gay and lesbian show. B wasn't there. T wasn't there. None of it was there. I mean, yes, I think we eventually, I remember finally merging in with a trans comic by the name of Ian Harvey. Wow, that was an experience. I mean, I already knew a couple trans people in 2000 anyway, so this wasn't like, what? But yeah, a trans comic in that era, 2001, 2002, risky, big risk. I mean, wow, here I'm just this, Midwestern schlub trying to figure out if I'm a bear or not, or why I'm being a bear, or if I'm a bear comic. I don't know. And here's somebody bold and brave to just be trans on stage. Wow. Wow. Hey, Midwestern kid. Welcome to LA. You're a comic now. Ah, what is happening? So I start getting this itch, and I start getting it's not even the itch, but I clearly could see a path to start working the bear event circuit. Oh yeah, there's a circuit indeed. And that's where things in the comedy world for me start moving towards. And it is great at first, but it absolutely starts to go south. And we're going to get there in another episode. Yeah, I know we're almost at the hour mark, but I can't go into it because there's a whole project of how it starts great and then it just goes to hell in a handbasket for me, and probably for others as well. But either way, we're getting our comedy on. We're starting to do it, and the knocks on the door and the me being a hungry and not afraid to ask curious, budging gay community comic in LA about to start taking aim at an audience, or at least fishing for what I would think would be the right audience for what I was surrounding myself with. And that becomes the topic and the wave of the next episode. Is how does it start with fun Los Angeles club and coffee house and open mic nights and booked gigs in performance spaces that start to, bounce around, and I start to get gigs and things are starting to move forward. And what's that? You've got headshots now? What? Oh yeah. I start playing the game. LA, holy smokes, how do we do this? How do we play the game? We're going to find out, because the bear comedy circuit lifts me up into an atmosphere that I never thought possible, but also drags me down into the pits of the worst. So I hope you look forward to that. Such a positive and open tease for the what's coming this way. But stand-up comedy is great. I'm just getting, to wrap this up, I'm getting my feet wet. I'm getting the gigs. I'm starting to get my comedy a little bit down. I'm realizing that I'm very much in control of what I'm saying, and I'm trying to get to be funny, get them to laugh, and I'm getting it. It's happening. But we're going to tune in on Monday to see where it starts taking a strange turn that at first I thought was the path for my comedy career to make it into the stratosphere, into the next galaxy. What I didn't know is I was absolutely fooling myself, and I didn't realize it until it was too late. We'll get into it. Oh, Monday. You have got to tune in, my lover cheeses. I hate to drag it out, but this is a deep part of the working time. And we're also going to flip back as to how did we get out of LA? Oh yeah, that's happening too. Wait, I leave LA? Oh, you didn't see that coming. See, if you just wait, kids, to the end of the episode, it's worth it. It's like an episode of Lost. You're left with a cliffhanger. Wait, you're telling me you start doing bear gigs and it's just it's a terrible thing at the end. Wait, I need to know more. Perfect. Then tune in Monday to another episode of New Job Who Dis. Please, I beg of you, subscribe, like, comment, share, tell people. I mean, listen, this is episode 20. We've made it to 20. You got a lot of catching up to do, because this is a road that it's gonna get spicy. So hold on. Thank you again, my 10 listeners. You know who you are. Love you most. And anyone else out there who is listening, thank you again for tuning in. Again, tune in Monday. Make sure to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel, HALSTONBODDY. And we are here on the Podbean Network. Thank you. As I say every time, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell a friend, tell everyone. This has been New Job. Who dis?